The airport was louder than usual that morning. Rolling suitcases rattled across the floor like distant thunder. Announcements echoed overhead in calm voices that didn't match the chaos of people rushing, hugging, arguing, laughing. But I wasn't paying attention to any of that. I was watching my grandfather. Grandpa Harold sat in a wheelchair beside the glass wall of the airport lounge, staring out at planes he could barely recognize anymore. His hands trembled slightly in his lap. He wasn't supposed to be traveling. Not with his condition. The doctors had said his memory would come and go. Some days he remembered my name perfectly. Other days he thought I was his sister from 50 years ago. Alzheimer's doesn't announce itself. It steals quietly, piece by piece. My father, Daniel, stood beside him, tapping impatiently on his phone. "We're going to be late," Dad muttered. My mother adjusted her expensive scarf as if we were attending a gala instead of dragging an old man through an airport. My brother Ethan leaned against a pillar, earbuds in, already bored. And then there was me. The only one watching Grandpa's face. His eyes were confused, slightly afraid, like a child lost in a crowded mall. "Dad," I whispered, "are you sure this is a good idea?" Dad didn't even look at me. "It's fine. We're doing what's best." That was always his answer. What's best? What's convenient? What benefits him? Grandpa suddenly turned his head toward my father. "Danny?" he asked softly. "Where are we going?" Dad forced a smile, the kind that never reached his eyes. "Just a short trip, Dad. Family vacation. Relax." Grandpa blinked. "A vacation?" My mother chimed in quickly. "We all need one. And you've been so stressed lately." Stressed. As if Grandpa's illness was an inconvenience, like slow Wi-Fi. I crouched beside his wheelchair and took his hand. "You're okay, Grandpa. I'm here." He squeezed my fingers weakly, relief flooding his expression. That look alone made my chest ache. We were supposed to be family. Family doesn't ache like this. Dad cleared his throat. "All right, listen. We need to check in properly and handle some paperwork. We'll be back in a few minutes." Then he leaned down close to Grandpa's ear. "Just sit here. We'll go check in and come right back." Grandpa nodded. But I saw it. The flicker. The uncertainty. The fear. "I'll stay," I started. Dad's eyes snapped toward me. "No, you're coming. Don't start making a scene." Making a scene. That's what empathy always became in this family. Drama. Grandpa looked between us, confused. "Elaine?" he asked, using my name perfectly for once. "Are you going somewhere?" My throat tightened. "I'll be right back," I promised. I didn't know that would become the most painful promise of my life. We walked away. The lounge was only a few rows back, but every step felt wrong. I glanced over my shoulder again and again. Grandpa sat alone now, surrounded by strangers, his frail body swallowed by the large chairs and luggage around him. Dad didn't look back once. Ethan didn't care. Mom was already talking about first-class snacks. I stopped near the check-in counter. "Dad," I said quietly, "why couldn't one of us stay with him?" Dad sighed like I was exhausting. "For the love of God, Elaine, he's sitting in a lounge. Not the middle of a battlefield." That wasn't the point. But Dad never understood points that weren't his. We checked bags. We handed passports. We waited. Minutes passed. Then more minutes. Dad's phone buzzed. He stepped aside, voice low. Mom leaned close to Ethan, whispering something that made him smirk. I couldn't hear them clearly. But I caught pieces. "Doctor said it's progressing. He doesn't even know half the time. This is the easiest way." My stomach dropped. "Easiest way?" I turned sharply. "What did you say?" Mom's smile froze. "Nothing." Dad returned. "All right," he said briskly, "let's go." My head snapped up. "Go where?" Grandpa is still back there. Dad didn't blink. "He's fine." My blood ran cold. "No, Dad. We said we'd come back in a few minutes." Dad's voice sharpened. "We don't have time. He'll be taken care of." Taken care of? By who? The airport staff? A stranger? The universe? I stared at him, disbelief rising like fire. "Are you serious?" Ethan rolled his eyes. "Oh my God, Elaine, stop acting like he's a toddler." "He is vulnerable," I snapped. Mom's expression hardened. "We can't drag him everywhere. He's exhausting." The word hit like a slap. Exhausting. Grandpa Harold. The man who paid for my father's college. The man who built the family business from nothing. The man who once carried Ethan on his shoulders for hours at Disneyland. Exhausting. Dad stepped closer, his tone quiet but dangerous. "Elaine, this is not your decision." My voice shook. "What is the plan?" Dad held my gaze. Then, finally, he said it. "We're leaving him." The airport noise vanished. All I could hear was my heartbeat. "What?" Dad's jaw tightened. We can't do this anymore. He needs professional care. And today, finally, we're making it happen. I felt like I was falling. You're abandoning him in an airport lounge. Mom scoffed. Don't be dramatic. Someone will find him. He has his bracelet. The facility will pick him up. Facility. As if he was a package. My hands clenched. You didn't tell me. Dad's eyes were cold. Because you did exactly what you're doing now. I looked at Ethan. He shrugged. He doesn't even know what's going on half the time. That sentence. That casual cruelty. Something inside me cracked. I turned without thinking. I ran. Back through the terminal. Past coffee shops. Past boarding gates. Past laughing families. My lungs burned. My heart pounded like it was screaming. I reached the lounge. Grandpa's wheelchair was still there. But Grandpa was standing, shaking. His hands gripping the armrest as if it were the only thing holding him to reality. His eyes scanned the crowd wildly. Danny, he called. His voice broke. Danny, where did you go? My throat closed. Grandpa, he turned toward me. The relief on his face nearly destroyed me. Oh, thank God, he whispered. Then his expression twisted with fear. They left, didn't they? I froze. Alzheimer's stole many things. But somehow, in that moment, he understood everything. My eyes filled. I grabbed his hands. I'm here. I'm not leaving you. His lips trembled. I thought I was lost. I looked around. People stared. A worker nearby hesitated, unsure whether to intervene. Grandpa's shoulders sagged. I was waiting like he said. My chest burned. Anger, grief, shock, all mixed together. I helped him back into the wheelchair, forcing my voice steady. We're going home. But Grandpa's eyes searched mine. Elaine, yes? He swallowed hard. Why would my own son do this? That question was the beginning of everything. Because the truth was, Grandpa wasn't just being abandoned. He was being erased. And I was about to find out why. Because as I knelt beside him, my phone buzzed. A notification. An email. From the family law firm. Subject line. Urgent. Estate transfer confirmation. My blood ran cold. Estate? Transfer? I opened it. And in that second, sitting in an airport lounge beside my abandoned grandfather, I realized, this wasn't about caregiving. This was about money. And whatever my family had planned. They thought Grandpa would be too confused to stop it. They thought I would be too weak to fight it. They were wrong. Very wrong. My fingers trembled as I stared at the email on my phone. Urgent. Estate transfer confirmation. The words didn't make sense at first, like my brain refused to connect them. Estate. Transfer. Confirmation. I clicked the attachment. A legal document filled the screen, dense with formal language, signatures, and dates. And then I saw it. Harold Whitmore's assets to be transferred under power of attorney. Power of attorney? My stomach turned violently. I looked down at Grandpa. He was watching me with cloudy eyes, his face still pale from fear. Elaine, he whispered again, voice smaller, are we okay? I swallowed hard, forcing myself to smile. Yes, we're okay, I promise. But inside, panic was spreading like wildfire. This wasn't an accident. This wasn't family stress. This was calculated. Dad didn't leave Grandpa behind because he was exhausting. He left him behind because Grandpa was inconvenient. A barrier. A signature away from something. I crouched beside him and kept my voice low. Grandpa, did Dad ever have you sign anything recently? Grandpa blinked slowly. Sign. He hesitated, then nodded faintly. Danny said it was hospital papers. For my care. My blood ran ice cold. Hospital papers. That's how they did it. Grandpa's mind was slipping, and they were using it like an open door. I clenched my jaw so hard it hurt. I wheeled him quickly away from the lounge, toward a quieter corridor near the airline offices. My phone buzzed again. A text from Dad. Stop causing trouble. Stay where you are. I didn't respond. Another buzz. Elaine, do not embarrass us. Embarrass. That word. They were stealing a man's life, but I was the embarrassment. I took a deep breath and called the number at the bottom of the email. The law firm. It rang twice. Whitmore and Hayes Legal Services. This is Elaine Whitmore, I said sharply. I just received an estate transfer confirmation for Harold Whitmore. Why was this sent to me? Silence. Then a cautious tone. Ms. Whitmore, you weren't supposed to receive that copy. My grip tightened. So it's real. A pause. Yes, ma'am. Your father submitted documentation this morning. This morning? My voice rose. My grandfather is sitting in an airport. Confused. Alone. And my father is transferring his assets? Ms. Whitmore, I can't discuss. Yes, you can, I snapped. Because if this was signed under coercion or while he was mentally impaired, it's fraud. The word fraud tasted heavy. The receptionist's voice shifted. One moment. I'll connect you to Attorney Morrison. Hold music started. Grandpa looked up at me, worry deepening. What's happening? I leaned down. Grandpa, Dad has been doing things behind your back. His brows pulled together. Danny, he's trying to take control of everything. Grandpa's mouth trembled. I don't understand. I squeezed his hand. You don't have to. I do. The line clicked. This is Attorney Morrison. Mr. Morrison, I said, voice steady now. Did my father file a power of attorney this morning? Yes, he said carefully. Your grandfather signed last week. My heartbeat slammed. Last week? My grandfather doesn't remember what day it is half the time. There was a doctor's note confirming competence. Doctor's note? I laughed, sharp and humorless. Which doctor? Pause. Dr. Mitchell. My vision blurred. Dr. Mitchell, Dad's private physician. The one who never let me in the room. Listen carefully, I said. I am with Harold Whitmore right now. He was just abandoned at an airport lounge. If you process a single transfer, you will be part of elder exploitation. Silence. Then, quietly, Ms. Whitmore, are you saying your grandfather did not consent? I'm saying he was manipulated, I hissed. And I'm saying if you don't freeze everything immediately, I will involve the state, the courts, and every regulatory agency you've ever feared. My chest rose and fell. Mr. Morrison swallowed audibly. I will place an immediate hold pending review. Good. I ended the call. Grandpa stared at me, lost. Elaine, I forced myself to breathe. It's okay. I stopped it. He looked down. My own son. His voice cracked. The pain in it nearly broke me. I knelt in front of him, tears burning my eyes. You didn't deserve this, Grandpa whispered. I raised him. I gave him everything. I swallowed my anger. I know. My phone buzzed again. Dad. Calling. I answered. What? I said coldly. Dad's voice exploded through the speaker. What the hell are you doing? I should be asking you that, I shot back. You had no right to contact Morrison. Oh, I had every right, I hissed. You filed an estate transfer while leaving Grandpa alone like luggage. Dad's voice hardened. Don't dramatize. This is business. Business. That word again. Grandpa's life reduced to a transaction. You're stealing from him, I said. Dad laughed. It's not stealing. It's inheritance. It's inevitable. Inheritance is after someone dies, I snapped. Not while they're alive and confused. Dad's voice dropped dangerously low. Elaine, you are jeopardizing everything. Everything? My voice shook with rage. You mean your money. You don't understand, Dad growled. That company, those assets, they belong with someone capable. Capable? I whispered. You mean you. Silence. Then Dad said it. You were never meant to be involved. There it was. The truth. I wasn't the son. I wasn't the heir. I was the inconvenient daughter who cared too much. Dad's voice continued, sharp as glass. Bring Grandpa back. Don't make this harder. No, I said simply. A pause. Then Dad spat. If you don't cooperate, you'll regret it. The line went dead. Grandpa looked up at me. Elaine, are we in danger? I swallowed, forcing calm. No, we're going home. But deep down, I knew Dad wasn't done. He never was. Men like him didn't lose gracefully. I pushed Grandpa's wheelchair toward the exit. Outside, the air was colder. The sky was gray. And for the first time, Grandpa spoke clearly, painfully. He's not my boy anymore. Tears slipped down my cheek. No, I whispered. He isn't. We got into my car. As I buckled Grandpa in, my phone lit up again. This time, it wasn't Dad. It was an unknown number. I answered cautiously. Ms. Whitmore? A woman's voice. Yes? This is Adult Protective Services. We received an anonymous report that Harold Whitmore was abandoned at an airport today. My blood froze. Anonymous report. Dad. He was already spinning the story. The woman continued. We need to confirm Mr. Whitmore's safety. I inhaled sharply. I'm with him right now. He's safe. He was abandoned by his son. Silence. Then, we may need to open an investigation. Please do, I said fiercely. Because if Dad wanted war, he was about to get one. And Grandpa Harold? He wasn't alone anymore. Not this time. Not ever. The next morning, I woke up before sunrise. Grandpa was asleep in the guest room, wrapped in a blanket, his breathing shallow but steady. For the first time in years, he looked peaceful. But I wasn't, because my father had declared war. And now, it wasn't just about money. It was about control. I sat at the kitchen table, scrolling through everything I could find. Estate documents, company filings, law firm records, transfers. And then, something caught my eye. A line in the draft transfer agreement, contingent upon immediate liquidation of Whitmore Holdings shares. Liquidation? That made no sense. Whitmore Holdings wasn't just Grandpa's money. It was an empire. Selling shares quickly would destroy stability. It wasn't inheritance. It was desperation. My father wasn't preparing for Grandpa's future. He was preparing for something urgent. Something hidden. I called Morrison again. This time, he picked up immediately. Ms. Whitmore, I want the truth, I said sharply. Why is my father rushing liquidation? Silence. Then Morrison exhaled. Because your father is underwater. What? He has taken loans. Massive ones. Against Whitmore Holding assets. My stomach flipped. Loans? Against Grandpa's name? Morrison's voice lowered. He has been using your grandfather's estate as collateral for years. Years. While Grandpa thought Danny was handling business. While Grandpa trusted him. While Grandpa forgot names. Danny remembered numbers. I gripped the phone so hard my knuckles hurt. How much? Morrison hesitated, then said quietly, $400 million. My throat closed. $400 million. Dad wasn't stealing for comfort. He was stealing to survive. I whispered. If Grandpa revokes power of attorney, everything collapses. Yes, Morrison admitted. Your father's creditors will come immediately. I ended the call, and for the first time, I understood. Dad didn't abandon Grandpa at the airport because Grandpa was inconvenient. He abandoned him because Grandpa was the last signature between Danny and ruin. But Dad made one mistake. He underestimated me. That afternoon, APS arrived. 2 women, calm but firm. They interviewed Grandpa. At first, he was confused. Then they asked a simple question. Did your son leave you alone at the airport? Grandpa blinked. His jaw tightened. Then he spoke clearly. Yes. My breath caught. He left me, Grandpa said again, voice stronger. Like I was nothing. APS exchanged glances. Do you feel safe with your son? Grandpa looked at me, then whispered. No. That single word changed everything. Within 48 hours, an emergency court hearing was scheduled. My father showed up in a crisp suit, smile sharp, acting like a worried son. When he saw me, his face hardened. Elaine, he said coldly. You've gone too far. I didn't answer. Grandpa was wheeled in beside me, hands trembling. Dad's eyes flashed. For the first time, he looked scared. Court began. The judge, stern and elderly, looked down at Dad. Mr. Whitmore, you filed power of attorney while your father was abandoned at an airport? Dad's voice dripped innocence. Your Honor, my sister is exaggerating. My father wandered off. We panicked. I stood instantly. No. The judge turned. Ms. Whitmore? I spoke clearly. My father didn't panic. He transferred estate control the same morning he left Grandpa behind. Murmurs erupted. Dad's lawyer jumped up. Objection. The judge slammed the gavel. Sit down. I continued. This isn't inheritance planning. This is exploitation. Dad's smile cracked. Then Grandpa spoke. Slowly. Painfully. I raised Danny. I gave him everything. Dad's face twitched. Grandpa's voice broke. And he left me alone. The courtroom went silent. The judge leaned forward. Mr. Whitmore, why did you rush liquidation? Dad froze. His lawyer whispered urgently. But Dad snapped. You don't understand. The company. The judge narrowed his eyes. The company what? Dad's mask finally shattered. He exploded. I built it. I deserve it. Gasps filled the room. Dad realized what he'd said. Grandpa whispered, devastated. You built it. Dad's voice shook with rage. I carried the burden. While he forgot everything. While I saved it. The judge stood. Enough. Dad's lawyer stammered. Your Honor, my client is under stress. The judge cut him off. No, he is under fraud. Then the judge turned to me. Ms. Whitmore, do you have evidence of financial misuse? I reached into my folder and slid the document forward. Collateral loan records. $400 million, taken under Harold Whitmore's name. Dad went white. His lawyer's mouth opened in horror. The judge's voice thundered. This court immediately revokes all power of attorney. Estate assets are frozen. Adult Protective Services will open criminal proceedings. Dad staggered back. No, wait. The judge slammed the gavel. Court adjourned. Dad lunged toward Grandpa. Dad, please. Security grabbed him. Grandpa didn't look at him. Not once. Dad screamed as he was pulled away. You can't do this. I'm your son. Grandpa finally lifted his head and whispered, broken. I had a son. That was the last thing Danny Whitmore ever heard from him. That was the last thing Danny Whitmore ever heard from him. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed. APS escorted Grandpa safely. Morrison approached me quietly. Ms. Whitmore, you saved him. I looked at Grandpa. He looked small, tired, but free. Weeks later, Dad's fraud became public. Creditors descended. The empire shook. But it didn't fall, because Grandpa made one final decision. He called a board meeting. For the first time in years. Everyone expected Danny. Instead, I walked in. The room froze. Executives stared. Grandpa's lawyer stood. Ladies and gentlemen, Harold Whitmore has appointed a new trustee of Whitmore Holdings. My father wasn't there. He was awaiting trial. The lawyer turned toward me. Elaine Whitmore. Silence. Then Grandpa spoke, clear as steel. My daughter saved my life. Eyes widened. Grandpa continued. She is the only one I trust. Then he smiled faintly. Elaine, it's yours now. I felt tears rise. Not from victory. From justice. Because revenge wasn't screaming. Revenge was walking out of an airport. And walking into a courtroom. And making sure the truth could never be buried again. Grandpa reached for my hand. And whispered. Thank you for coming back for me. I squeezed his fingers. Always.